Hey, what's up, Good Vibe Tribe? This is JayDreamerZ, and I'm wondering, have you ever walked into a room and you totally spaced why you went in there? Just blank out, right? You know what I mean? You walk into a room and you're like, oh, I had a purpose. I had a purpose for being here. What was it? And so you almost have to like go back, go about your business before you can start remembering. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Or have you ever opened up the fridge, and you're like, oh man, I totally forgot what I was going to grab or something. Memory can be faulty. Memory is fickle. Memory is sensitive. And this world is definitely not an exception to the amnesia problem that we all have. And I say we all because we're talking today about worldwide amnesia, a worldwide amnesia event caused during the plasma apocalypse. I'm going to be doing some screen sharing, but before I do that, I want to give a huge, heartfelt, warm welcome to the Good Vibe Tribe, and specifically to Stephanie McGuire. Stephanie, I totally saw that you made a video today giving me a shout out. I was honored. I think it was beautiful. So thank you for your shout out. I appreciate you. It's good to see everybody else in the chat. Let's talk about this. Now, one of the things that we like to talk about as far as truth seekers go is a recollection of past events. Many of us have come to the conclusion, based on a preponderance of evidence, at least for us personally, that the world has gone through many resets and that the world may have been vastly different from the world that we're used to today. And that's why every once in a while, the world as we know it comes to an end. Can you guys hear me okay? Thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me okay. Please and thank you. So yeah, we're missing out. And it's some of it might have to do with us not being told the information or reminded of the information time and time again from generation to generation. Those stories should have been passed down. Those stories should have been shared. And I'm not saying that they weren't. I just think maybe we were looking in the wrong places. But I want to talk about physical amnesia and how is it that the entire world, for the most part, there's always exceptions and anomalies, but how can the entire world develop amnesia? Here's what happens. Right now, well, let's just admit, right now our memory's faulty. Our memory's terrible, right? Not just mine, not just yours. You're definitely not alone in this. I already know. I don't even have to take a poll. I don't have to ask anyone. You don't have the greatest memory. No, most people don't. Most people have terrible memories. You can't remember or bring to mind what you had for breakfast, last week or 2 weeks ago. We can only really remember major blips on our timeline of life. We barely can recall our first few years of life, which has to do with the veil of Maya or forgetfulness that is still recovering at an early age. And then it starts to lift as we grow and take form in these bodies. But after the plasma apocalypse, here's what happens. Many people wake up, right? Because many people pass out. Many people just black out during the plasma apocalypse for many different reasons. Some people could just totally be in utter shock at the events and their entire world and reality crashing down in around them physically, actually, and emotionally. So some people pass out. Some people pass out because they can't breathe, because the air is being sucked up out of the sky. And for whatever reasons, they lost consciousness. Some people will lose consciousness. They'll fall asleep during the plasma apocalypse, and the fingers of Freddy will reach down from the sky to try to collect them. Other people will make it. They won't pass out. But many people will wake up in the post-apocalyptic world. Imagine this was you or someone that you know. You wake up after the world had utterly been destroyed or reshaped. So much that when you look around your neighborhood, when you go outside, if your house is still intact, you don't recognize anything. And it's not just that you don't recognize anything, you don't remember where you are. You don't remember who you are. You don't remember why you're here or how you got here, which is why they throw that into so many movies and TV shows where they kind of jokingly say, where am I? Who am I? What am I? Right? But today's topic is about Amnesia Island. The island is the island of our world. Symbolically, our world is displayed in various ways. But typically, I've seen the island come up many different times. So we wake up on this island, on the shores of a beach, stranded, not knowing where we are, who we are, what just happened. And many people's memories have just been erased, wiped clean. And they have to figure things out for themselves. They have to scavenge around and go shuffle through the debris, look through personal items and stuff, check their pockets. They have to figure out who they are and what just happened and what's going on. Some people might not have even known that there was an apocalyptic event. They just wake up thinking that this is normal. This is the world that we live in. Piercing the Veils in the chat and says, I've always thought that the plasma gives people amnesia at the time of the reset. We're going to talk about how plasma can give you amnesia. Let's go ahead and jump into a few variables. Some of the possibilities and possible ways that the world as a whole could develop amnesia and therefore forget all about the events that had happened and therefore not be able to pass that information along to hopefully prolong the lives of their future generations. All right, so let's see. I'm going to get my notes pulled up here too. One moment. All right, cool. All right, so we're talking about the island of no memory. That's the world that we live in today, right? And this is physically, actually, like in the same body, waking up, and then your memories are wiped clean, right? There is spiritual memory wipe. There is energetic memory wipe when you enter into a new body. And like I talked about, that veil of forgetfulness is cast over you or envelops you, and it takes time for it to lift. And that's why we don't remember much of our youth. But some people, that doesn't affect them. But today we're talking about physical amnesia. The island of no memory, waking up stranded on the beach of the island. We're going to talk about, let's start with nitrous oxide. Now, I've made reference to the nitrous oxide clouds that formed during the plasma apocalypse. One of my best videos, or my favorite videos that I've done about the chemical reactions, some of the chemical reactions that happened during the plasma apocalypse is called, I forgot what it's called, but it's like My Chemical Plasma Apocalypse Romance. I don't know, something stupid, some cheesy name that I gave it. So we're going to retouch on some of those topics. We're going to talk about nitrous oxide first. For those of you who don't know, there are many brand new chemical reactions that are created by the smashing together and the mixing of hydrogen from above, from outside of our world. Hydrogen or ionized hydrogen comes down in the form of plasma to ground itself. It interacts with the nitrogen that's already in our atmosphere along with the other gases. And everything's good. Just let me know everything's good. I've got a lot of web pages pulled up today, so hopefully we don't have any problems. So the nitrogen smashes into the hydrogen smashes into the nitrogen, and those all mix with the oxygen that's shooting up from within the earth itself. Those three elements there can create so many other different chemicals and gases. It's ridiculous. But one of those I'm going to focus on is nitrous oxide. So here I'm going to pull up a few different websites. This one says nitrous oxide, surprisingly, also known, by the way, as N2O. N2O is the scientific description for nitrous oxide. Nitrous oxide is laughing gas. That's what they give people at the dentist, and it has them acting kind of goofy, makes you not be able to feel pain, and it's got a few other side effects that we're going to talk about. It's called N2O. There's different versions of nitrate oxide, or I forgot what it's called, but specifically we're focusing on nitrous oxide, N2O, the laughing gas. It says it's also produced at a produced by lightning. Let me get this up here. Nitrous oxide can be produced by lightning in the contemporaneous oxygenated Earth's atmosphere, etc., etc. There's a bunch of scientific other stuff in there, which I'm not going to get too deep into. The point is, all you need for nitrous oxide is essentially the elements nitrogen and oxygen, right? There's way more scientific stuff behind that, but I'm just going to hit the highlights. We're going to do like the Cliff's Notes versions for those of you who just have regular IQs and intelligence levels like, myself. All right, so check this out. Basically, also, I don't want to get too deep into the science of it just because it's going to eat up a lot of time. But I highly recommend you to do some research on how these chemical elements are created in the air, because I feel like this is really has a lot of potential. It's really untapped as far as a subject matter goes. And how do those new chemicals and those new gases affect us? How could they? What are the implications, right? Nitrous oxide. I put in here how nitrous oxide forms. Nitrous oxide is prepared on an industrial scale by careful heating of ammonium nitrate. So you slowly heat up ammonium nitrate carefully, because you can have chemical reactions that cause explosions and stuff too. And there will probably be explosions from chemical reactions during the plasma apocalypse. Nitrous oxide is prepared on an industrial scale by carefully heating ammonium nitrate. So that's one way. There's many different ways. And that's why it's fun to be an alchemist. There's so many different ways to arrive at your final product. And let's take a look here at how laughing gas is made. Nitrous oxide is also known as laughing gas. And it says nitrous oxide or laughing gas by heating ammonium nitrate. On this one, it says nitrous oxide is always prepared from the nitrate of ammonia. Like I said, I believe there's exceptions and anomalies, and there's other ways that we can get that too. Hey, I just got a really big super chat, so I want to express gratitude. Thank you very much. Key Collector Comics says, thanks for the great content. My heart is probably beating way faster now, and I'm more nervous, but thank you. I super appreciate it. Let's keep on going here. I want to talk about ammonia real quick. Ammonia is also one of the key elements chemicals that's created during this cosmic union, this cosmic marriage, this cosmic mixing between the earth and the heavens. It's an alchemical wedding. There are different elements, gases, and chemicals that are being mixed together. And crucially important is that they are being electrically charged. There's an influx of electrically charged hydrogen ions that are coming down into our world. So let's check out ammonia real quick. It says one nitrogen atom. Welcome, Kimberly. Thank you again, Key Collector Comics. Man, it made me nervous. Ammonia, one nitrogen atom bonded to 3 hydrogen atoms. So to get ammonia, all you need is one nitrogen atom bonded to 3 hydrogen. We already got the nitrogen in the atmosphere. The hydrogen comes down from above. It says it might not seem like an ideal fuel. The chemical used in household cleaners smells foul and is toxic. We're talking about ammonia. But its energy density by volume is nearly double that of liquid hydrogen. Its primary competitor as a green alternative fuel, and it is easier to ship and distribute. I don't know why I highlighted all that stuff. That's ammonia. Now, how do we get ammonia? Well, half of it can come from the elements that are already existing in water, specifically our ocean water. When the oceans get sucked up into the sky, and they go up into the air, they get zapped. They go through electrolysis of the most extreme degree. And when you put the ocean water through electrolysis, it brings out the hydrogen that's inside of it. The nitrogen we get from the air, like we talked about. So hydrogen and nitrogen together, ammonia, right? We're going to get somewhere with this. We're going to loop back around. This says nitrous oxide can be obtained by heating dry ammonium nitrate. So ammonia, the reason we're talking about that is because one of the ways you can get nitrous oxide or laughing gas is you need to have the ammonia in there. Ammonium nitrate just means it's got, and I'm just speaking in severe layman's terms, so bear with me, right? Don't correct me on any of it if it's wrong. I mean, you can. Never mind. You can totally correct me if it's wrong. I would actually like you to. because we need to research this stuff together. And I am not the official explanation on anything. I'm just sharing my perspective and my research so far. Nitrous oxide can be obtained by heating dry ammonium nitrate. So the nitrous and the ammonia mixed together essentially with an electrical device. So you can get nitrous oxide by heating it electrically. That's interesting too. So what happens whenever we've talked about these nitrous oxide gas clouds? What happens is that they form in the air, and they float and they accumulate because everything needs to become homogeneous once again. Once all these brand new chemicals and gases and stuff are created, they need to settle. They need time to find their places or to layer out or to do whatever they're going to do. So that they're not so localized. But while they are localized, we get these fog banks or these gaseous clouds of pure chemicals that are not regular air for us to breathe. So it's important for me in the post-apocalypse to learn about these chemicals and to learn about their colorings, their tastes, their smells, their signs, how they're made, areas where they're likely to occur or less likely to occur, how they affect the environment around them for our own survival, right? So that we can better understand what's happening when we see these anomalies in nature. For example, there's something called Tanganyika laughter epidemic. The Tanganyika laughter epidemic. This happened, I'm going to go ahead and read it here. It says, the laughter epidemic of 1962 was an outbreak of mass hysteria or mass psychogenic illness, rumored to have occurred in or near the village of Kashasha on the western coast of Lake Victoria. All right, let me go down to this highlighted portion. It says, I can't believe I got a $100 donation. My mind is blown. Okay, I'm trying to be professional and trek on, but it's also, my heart's beating pretty hard. The laughter reports were widely accompanied by descriptions of pain, fainting, respiratory problems, rashes, and crying. Now, if you look all through this article and many of the other ones that I found online about this laughing plague, nowhere in there do they even conceive on any of these articles that I found that it may have been caused by gas. That chemicals could have combined to create various gases or erupted from within the earth itself, seeping up out of the ground or lowering down from the sky in various areas, following the natural currents and eddies of the world, and landed as a gas cloud on a certain community, which, if it was nitrous oxide, would have a byproduct of people just laughing all of the time, not being able to control themselves, depending on what kind of a gas it is. There was also something called the dancing epidemic or something, where people in a similar fashion, right? In this one, you have these various towns and whatnot in, I believe, Africa, where everyone just started to laugh hysterically. They were laughing to the point where it hurt, to the point where they were crying. They could not stop laughing. This sounds to me like one of the classic telltale signs of a nitrous oxide cloud, which I believe will be more rampant after the plasma apocalypse. Now, how is, okay, well, I'm just going to sidestep for just a minute. Okay, so nitrous oxide, one of the elements that's created, one of the gases that's created. Why is that important? Because nitrous oxide contributes to amnesia, right? I don't know how many of you have ever taken nitrous oxide. And even in small doses, it can make you forget, your short-term memory. Sometimes people lose their long-term memory from too much nitrous oxide inhalation. And that's why it pertains to the memory loss, right? You can pull it up. Nitrous oxide can affect your long-term memory in high doses. So let's go back to chlorine real quick. The only reason I want to talk about chlorine is because I've been listening to a lot of 21 Pilots and really breaking down a lot of their lyrics, which I might do a video on, especially that song where they're like, sipping on straight chlorine. It says chlorine can be manufactured by the electrolysis of sodium chloride. That is ocean water. All this says, and this has nothing to do with the memory loss per se. This is sort of a side thing because I was researching the gases and the alchemical reactions between the different gases. Chlorine can be manufactured by the electrolysis of sodium chloride in a solution. That just means salt water, which means your oceans, right? Or the ocean. There's only one ocean. It's just the remnant of the last flooding of our world, basically. There's not a lot of oceans. There's not 7 seas or anything. There's one. There's one flood that is still here. That is evident. Anyway, yeah, the chlorine. So the 21 Pilots actually mentioned the whole chlorine thing, and I've talked about it too. Why is that important to me? Well, here's a picture of chlorine. It's Joker gas, or what I like to call Joker gas. Now, imagine you see this color of gas, which, by the way, if the sky turns red, this color of green, this lime green color of gas, would actually be black. You would see a black gas cloud under a red light. But this color of chlorine, I believe, this gas is going to be created as well. And just as a side note, some of the prophecies talk about how when we have 3 days of darkness, that people are in agony. Many people were reported being in agony, that they developed these boils and they had pain, that the darkness was giving them some kind of a pain and boils on their skin. And that's from the Bible in Exodus, I believe. But yeah, that's what chlorine gas can do. It says here, during or immediately after exposure to dangerous concentrations of chlorine, the following signs and symptoms may develop: blurred vision, blurry face, burning pain, redness, and blisters on the skin if exposed to the gas. So also something to look out for, just as a side note. I really liked that video that Stephanie McGuire did earlier. It wasn't just a video, shout out to me. I don't know if she said that in the chat or not. Hi, Stephanie. But it was a shout out to all of you, really. It was a shout out to the Good Vibe Tribe. And it's just like, God, I love that. I love it when you guys give shout outs to your own community, to the other truth seekers. I'm just so proud of her. All right, let me get back to the little presentation here. Okay, amnesia. Let's talk about amnesia. Another way that people can develop amnesia, one is nitrous oxide influx, right? Respiratory breathing of the nitrous oxide, right? The second one I'm going to talk about is electrocution. You can lose your memory by being electrocuted. It says here, the most persistent adverse effect of electroconvulsive therapy, which is a big, fat, fancy word for shocking you until you're obedient, or shocking you until you're normal, or whatever. I can't believe this is still accepted. Wow, blows my mind. The most persistent adverse effect of retrograde amnesia. Shortly after electroshock therapy, basically, most patients have gaps in their memory for events that occurred close to the time of the course of the shock therapy. But the amnesia may extend back several months or years. Retrograde amnesia usually improves during the first few months. So they're saying if your brain gets shocked, if you get touched by the plasma crabs or whatever you want to call them, I don't know, little plasma tentacles, I believe that they're actually looking for certain energy signatures. This is just my own, flavor on an already flavorful meal. But they can see in the auric realm. They can see your aura. They can see your energy, because that's what they are. So that's the level of vibration that they're at, and that's what they see. They're looking for similar energy, similar vibration. So that hydrogenized, I gotta stop saying that. That ionized hydrogen that comes down into our world, the red plasma coming down as like the fire snake or the dragon or whatever it may be, is looking around for auras, certain colors, certain vibrations, certain frequencies. And I believe that once they find those auras, the thing that will light up the most in their field of view is your brain, your electrical center, your CPU of your body. And so they want to dock with that brain. That's just one of my many different theories. Let's get back on track though. So electrical shock, boom, exactly like, and I'm dead serious, and even though it's super fun, it's fun to be so serious about such an insane out there theory and concept and idea, right? This is from the Addams Family movie, right? This is actually Christopher Lloyd, who's played so many esoteric parts, I lost track. Actually, I have Christopher Lloyd's signature. I have a little bit of his energy right here. I don't know if you guys, if I've ever shown you this. This was a gift that my brother sent to me. It's the DeLorean from Back to the Future Part 3, and it's actually autographed. It's signed by Christopher Lloyd. So that's relevant. So I thought I'd share that. It's pretty cool. I always keep that on my desk. Yeah, so this is why Uncle Fester had amnesia. If you've seen the movie, the entire movie, this particular one, is how Uncle Fester comes back. He was lost at sea. They find him. He comes back. He's got a totally different personality. He thinks he's somebody else. And it's all because he was shocked by this book, which is about a storm, right? Like the world storm, like the plasma apocalypse. So yeah, getting shocked in your head can cause long-term amnesia. How about something else? We talked about nitrous oxide. We talked about electrocution. What about just regular shock? Being in shock. Being so caught off guard that you're shocked by something so much that you have post-traumatic stress, as they would call it these days. It says here, can PTSD cause amnesia? Triggered by trauma. Apocalypse. Yeah, I think there's some trauma in the apocalypse. Post-traumatic stress disorder can overwhelm your ability to cope and may be associated with partial or complete memory loss. People are, this is what happens according to my research so far. Basically, the natural path in the brain, the natural path that the brain wants to take is to take those memories of the traumatic thing and to wipe them away so that you don't live in fear, so that you can survive, is sort of, you know, my way of explaining it. But basically, you can get shocked into forgetting something. You can get shocked and be surprised and so caught off guard and so upset and so full of anxiety or fear. You're so scared. That's why a lot of people who are in like car accidents, really bad car accidents, or plane crashes or anything like that, they don't remember a lot of the things that happened even before the crash. They don't remember what they were doing, what song they were listening to. Sometimes they don't remember where they were even going to. And that's because the brain is trying to help out to erase that bad memory. It can do it on its own, which is funny because we have all these movies and TV shows that talk about how, like, I wonder, you know, is it possible for us to erase all of our bad memories? Well, yeah, one day all the bad memories will be gone. All right, so dissociative amnesia. What causes dissociative amnesia? What does that mean? Disassociation means you disassociate with yourself. You don't associate with your identity, with your persona, with who you are, with your name, your birthday, any of your memories that's, you know, helped to shape you to become the person that you were. You have disassociated from that. Dissociative amnesia can be linked to overwhelming stress, apocalypse, which may be caused by traumatic events such as war, abuse, understandable, accidents, or disasters. So this pretty much covers, the apocalypse covers all of those. The person may have suffered from trauma or just witnessed it. There may be a genetic or an inherited connection in dissociative amnesia, as close relatives often have the tendency to develop amnesia. Now, that's interesting too. What that means is that, let's take myself, for example. Let's say that I survived the plasma apocalypse, but I'm so in shock, so messed up by it that my brain has kicked into overdrive and erased my life, erased my memories, and allowing me to just start over. Knowing that it's possible that holding on to those old memories of the way the world once was might not do me a whole lot of good in surviving in my new surroundings. And that's just one of the natural ways that I believe the brain works. It doesn't have to work that way, but that's sort of just a backup, right? So what's interesting about this is when people have dissociative amnesia, they have found, whoever they are, according to this website, they have found that it can be genetically passed on. which means that those survivors of the plasma apocalypse who wake up on the beach stranded, not knowing who they are or where they are, what's going on, and they don't trust anyone around them, just like on a million different movies that I've seen, and video games especially, that memory loss that they have suffered due to the event that they themselves went through can be actually passed on to their children genetically, so that they keep on forgetting, which is really interesting too. Let's take a look at this. I want to talk about tattoos. Now, there's this movie called Memento. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but it's iconic in that this guy right here wakes up and he's got all these tattoos, random weird ones, like looks like they're just hand drawn or hand put on there or whatever. And they're reminders to himself about who he is, about things that are most important in his life, because every day that he wakes up, his memory is wiped. He doesn't remember the prior day. He doesn't know what's going on. It's a huge mystery. So he has to try to figure out these tattoos on his body. He doesn't even know who put the tattoos on his body. It turns out it was himself. He had to put these markings in a permanent manner onto his body, the one place where he could not lose these reminders. And I wonder to myself and to all of you, is that the origin of tattoos? Is that why people did that in the first place, right? I mean, it makes sense to me. That's the entire reason behind getting a tattoo. People can internalize it all they'd like to, but you're putting an image or a word or something on you that is a permanent reminder. What better way to ensure that if you wake up with no memory of who you are or what has happened or who your family is or what your name is, or all of those things that were once so precious to you, now you can wake up and you see it on your own body. So the first connection is, it's on me, it's got some value. It's on me, there's something to it. So this is interesting. This website says that the oldest evidence of tattoos dates back to 3370 BC. If we're measuring from the present day, that's 5,390 years ago. That's right around the same time as the beginning of the Mayan calendar, which is pretty interesting to me because I believe that the Mayan calendar and the Mayan civilization sort of rose up out of an apocalyptic event. Pardon me. So yeah, worldwide amnesia. Let me jump into the chat real quick. I see Renee Garcia, Stephanie McGuire. Wow, lots of people. Let me check to see how many people are watching right now. I can't even check. Well, anyways, thank you once again to Key Collector Comments. There you go. Thanks for the great content. You're super welcome, and that's a sweet picture. I like your little logo there. Wow, yeah, I just want to show my appreciation because that's awesome. Let's see, we got Plant Brained, who says, hi everyone, just tuning in and starting from the beginning. This topic is awesome, Jay. I agree. This awesome is pretty hard to forget. Renee Garcia says, this is great, Jay. I loved physics and chemistry class when we played with this at JayDreamerZ. Yeah, that's right. We had our little chemistry set. We kept adding more elements to it, right? It's really fun. And it's more than just fun. I believe that it is crucial to those of us who are going to be more wizard-like, I guess you could say. I don't know how else to describe it except for in terms of fantasy, but more wizard-like in the upcoming world, where we have a better understanding of how the chemicals work with one another, and we can see what's happening. And instead of just being afraid of it and, being spookified by, strange happenings in our world, we can examine them and we can understand them better because we understand their origin. We understand how they were created. We understand alchemy and the mixing of the chemicals together. Chemistry, alchemy, however you'd like to call it. All right, who else we got in the chat? That was it. Oh no, we got Stellar Shriner. Stellar Shriner says, JayDreamerZ, I like the time loop short yesterday. Scary thought. It kind of feels correct though. Yeah, I just put out that video. This is the thing. This is what I've been doing lately. I have so much content, but not everyone has had time, no matter how long you've been watching my channel, not everyone has time to watch all of my content. You know, like live stream after live stream is constantly going over an hour, 2 hours. Some of my older videos are 3-4 hours. So I wanted to go through and get some of those good nuggets of things that I have touched on but haven't really gone into detail about. So what he's talking, or what this person's referring to, is a video I put out about the devil creating a time loop so that he can always, or he or she can always be rule, basically. So that, because knowing that your time is coming to an end, you can create a time loop just before the end of that dictatorship, or that monarchy, or whatever you want to call it. But basically, he's allowed to replay, the devil's allowed to replay their own authority, their own. I'm forgetting now. It's so funny. But you get what I'm saying, right? The devil creates a time loop. He doesn't have to be destroyed, and he gets to rule forever and ever and ever, basically. Dark Light Empath says, we are wizards. Yes, indeed. Renee Garcia says, I feel like history repeating itself and everyone wanting full covered tattoos on the body again, like Egyptian period, and us talking in hieroglyphics with emojis like those times. Yeah, I totally agree. And I kind of like it. I didn't like the whole emoji talk type of thing at first, but then I started to understand what's happening. It's just reverting back to where its original form. It's just going back to picture form, which is great, because the next step that came, the thing that was before picture form was telepathy. So before we had these guttural utterances, rah, rah, and we put pictures on, we associated those utterances with pictures. We were able to share our feelings. We were able to share our emotions and our feelings and our thoughts and images and stuff with others, people, animals, plants. Kendall Wonderland says, Jay, thanks for that upload. It got me fired up to start uploading my own content. Excellent. Good. I'm glad to hear that. That's awesome. I've been encouraging as many people as possible. If you feel like you've got something to share, or, something interesting that not everyone might know about, or maybe you can just make people laugh. I don't know. Everyone has skill, and not everyone has to be a YouTuber. That's the other thing. If you can, I say go for it. It's fun. It's great. It's a great way to get out there and spread your experiences so that we can all share our little puzzle pieces of the bigger picture. But don't let it discourage you if you're not the best talker in the world, or, you don't want to be on camera and stuff. You don't have to do YouTube. I believe, and I'm just getting off the topic for a second, but I believe this is important. Each one of you has a part to play. Each one of you has value in different forms. Just because I might be, some kind of expert on the plasma apocalypse doesn't mean you have to be. You might be a good cook. You might be, you add value in other areas. There are many things I'm not good at. There are many things, you know what I mean? Like everyone that watches my show or my channel, they're like, wow, like this guy knows a lot about this stuff. Well, yeah, because I'm sharing with you all the stuff that I know a lot about. Ask me how to cook mac and cheese. I'm going to mess that YouTube video up all day long, I promise. But some of you out there can make delicious mac and cheese and serve other people and help. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. Sammy Renee says, JayDreamerZ, happy Thursday, and hugs to all who are watching. Indeed, indeed. Hugs to everyone. So, with that being said, that was my presentation. It was short, sweet, and to the point. So, I'm going to go. All right. I hate going. But until next time, I'm JayDreamerZ saying good vibes and goodbye.